Çekete, ararak, vurmanız. Çekete, ararak, vurmanız. Çekete, çekerek, ararak, vurmanız. 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 Vurmanız.
Hello, just thought to make a quick video about when you're being abused. There is, of course, I'm talking about any kind of abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse. Of course, anger is following, and it's normal and it is healthy. So I'm not going to deny that. It is a fact that, and even temporarily, you can go to hatred. I think at first it's a normal emotion, depending how badly you were hurt. But this being said, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm talking about only being in a state of temporary hatred, not permanent hatred. You don't want to be in a state of permanent hatred. Even the worst case of abuse, you don't want to get there. But right after the event, depending how badly you were hurt, it is a normal reaction to temporarily hate the person. When you're under shock, when you're not being in your normal state of mind, when you're under shock, it's normal. This being said, we need to make a clear difference, because I don't like when people say that you cannot defend yourself. You can defend yourself when you have been abused. And the way you do that is you expose what was done to you. There's nothing wrong about exposing what happened to you. Tell the truth. There's nothing wrong with that. Because if you're not going to expose and tell what happened to you, is that you are being, whether you're conscient or not, you're being in agreement with your attacker. In other words, especially when you're young, well, of course, when you're a kid, you cannot defend yourself. And so, what happens when you're attacked when you're a kid is that because you cannot always defend yourself as a kid, especially if your attacker is an adult. So what you do is that, because and if you have no help around you, like it sometimes happens, is that you're becoming, because you cannot expose the person because you don't have any support. It happens sometimes when you're a child, when you're coming from what they call a dysfunctional family. It does happen, is that you cannot expose. And what does happen to your mind is that you're becoming, your identity and your personality is bound with this event. This very sad event is becoming part of your personality. And later on, when you grow up and become an adult, if you're not taking a stand by exposing the abuser, is that it is becoming, being a victim becomes a part of who you are, and you don't want that to happen. So when you were a child, you were not able to expose the abuser, but now that you're an adult, you can. It's a must. You must expose the wrongdoing that was done to you. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't want to keep it inside, because it is destroying you. If you're not exposing your abuser, then you're participating with your abuser to destroy yourself. You don't want to do that. I just want to make it very clear. So you don't want to revenge yourself, but exposure is not revenge. So I had to make that video to make it very clear that you must expose your abuser if you want to go on in life in a constructive way, especially when you were yourself victim of abuse when you were a child and there was nothing you could have done at that time, especially because your parents were not really your parents. They were not caring about you. So when you were abused, you were by yourself and you had to swallow the pain, and you were not able to expose your abuser because you didn't have what it takes. But now that you're being an adult, you must expose your abuser, no matter what. Otherwise, it is the victimization. When you were victimized when you were a child, okay, and it became part of your identity. But when you became older, you don't have to stay that way. You don't have to stay a victim. And so you have to expose your abuser. And don't care about what people say. Don't pay attention to that. It's not their lives. It's not their heart. It's not their soul. It's not their mind. They don't care, alright? You must care about yourself and expose your abuser. It's a good thing to do. Don't revenge. Revenge is not, this is not revenge to, you have to distinguish very clearly the difference. Revenge is doing evil back to the person who abused you. This is what revenge is. But exposure, even though your abuser hates exposure, it's not revenge. You're not doing evil back to your abuser. In fact, if your abuser wants to come back to their senses, then it might even help them to come back to their senses. If they want to come back to their senses, most of them, they like to abuse. They love abusing people. So, unfortunately, most of them won't take that opportunity that you're giving them to repent. But in very rare cases, you might help an abuser to stop and repent from abusing others. But you don't want to do that for that reason. You want to do that to protect others and to take a stand for yourself and say, no, I'm not a victim anymore. I'm not taking any shit from anybody anymore. And this is a correct way to deal with physical abuse, emotional abuse, spiritual abuse. I forgot to mention that temporary anger is fine, but you don't want your anger to become permanent, because then it becomes part of your personality and you're becoming an angry person. You don't want that to happen to you, because you're participating with your attacker to destroy your personality. So temporary anger is fine, but you want to make sure that anger is not becoming permanent, and the more the abuse is intense, emotional or physical, the more the anger bigger, deeper. And so that would be a good thing. Eventually I'll make another video to differentiate holy anger from just this feeling that you have right after, and the days after and the weeks after that abuse happened to you. Because Jesus Christ, if somebody had holy anger, was Jesus Christ. The real Jesus Christ, not the one invented by religion, even Christian religion. The real Jesus Christ had holy rage or holy anger, but he was not 24/7 angry and 365 days per year being always angry. That's not true. That's why I want to differentiate it from the anger that you experience right after, or days after, weeks after you abuse. It's important to make this differentiation, but I had to mention it for now. Thanks for listening.
Check it, have a like, volmans, 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 check it, have a like, volmans.